Have you ever destroyed something you loved in less than 60 seconds? Not because you planned to, not because you wanted to, but because, for one brief moment, anger took control. A single sentence, a slammed door, a text you wish you had never sent, a decision you would give anything to take back. Here's the terrifying part. Anger doesn't always destroy your life in one explosive moment. Sometimes it destroys it quietly. It steals your relationships. It damages your reputation. It pushes away the people who care about you the most. And by the time you realize what happened, the damage is already done. Today, we're not just talking about anger. We're talking about the invisible fire that burns from the inside out. Because if you don't learn to control your anger, sooner or later, it will control you. Imagine this. It's Monday morning. Michael wakes up already feeling exhausted. His alarm didn't go off. He's late for work. Traffic is worse than usual. Someone cuts him off on the highway. His coffee spills across his shirt. His boss criticizes a report he spent an entire weekend preparing. By lunchtime, Michael isn't just frustrated. He's carrying invisible weight, the kind of weight nobody else can see. When he finally gets home, his 8-year-old son runs toward him with a huge smile. "Dad, look what I made today." The child proudly holds up a school project made from paper and glue. But Michael barely looks. Instead, he notices toys scattered across the living room floor. Without thinking, he explodes. "I've had enough. Why is this house always a mess?" The room goes silent. His son slowly lowers the project. The smile disappears. His wife doesn't argue. She simply looks disappointed. That night, Michael lies awake staring at the ceiling. He realizes something painful. He wasn't angry at the toys. He wasn't angry at his family. He was angry at everything that happened before he walked through the front door. But the people he loved paid the price. Sound familiar? Maybe you've never yelled exactly like Michael. But most of us have experienced something similar, because anger rarely begins where it ends. Here's something most people never understand. Anger isn't usually created in the moment. It's collected. One disappointment, one rejection, one stressful meeting, one unpaid bill, one sleepless night, one rude comment. Each one adds another link to an invisible chain. Eventually, the chain becomes too heavy. Then something incredibly small happens. Someone interrupts you. Your phone freezes. Your child asks a simple question. Your spouse forgets something. And suddenly, everything you've been carrying explodes at once. People watching from the outside think, "Why are they so angry over something so small?" But it was never about that small moment. It was about everything that came before it. That's why uncontrolled anger is so dangerous. It disguises itself. It convinces you that someone else is the problem, when in reality, your emotions have been asking for attention long before that moment. Many people believe anger makes them stronger. It doesn't. Anger makes you louder, not wiser. It makes you react faster, not think better. For a few seconds, anger creates the illusion of power. Your heart races, your muscles tighten, your voice gets louder. It feels like you're in control, but in reality, you've handed control over to your emotions. Real strength isn't raising your voice. Real strength is lowering it when every part of you wants to scream. Real courage isn't winning an argument. It's refusing to lose yourself while having one. Think about the strongest people you've ever met. Were they the ones who exploded every time life became difficult, or were they the ones who stayed calm when everyone else lost control? The answer tells you everything. Here's the trap. Anger can feel satisfying, for a moment. It feels like pressure has been released. You say exactly what's on your mind. You slam the door. You send the angry message. You prove your point. And for a few seconds, it almost feels good. But then, reality arrives. The silence. The regret. The apology you wish you didn't have to make. The relationship that's suddenly different. the respect that's harder to earn back. Anger always promises relief, but it usually leaves you with consequences instead. And here's the painful truth: the people who love you the most are often the ones who experience your worst moments, not because they deserve it, but because they're the closest when your emotional walls finally collapse. That is why learning to control anger isn't just about becoming a calmer person. It's about protecting the people who never deserved your pain in the first place. When anger takes the driver's seat. Let's be honest, no one wakes up in the morning and says, "Today I'm going to ruin my relationships." No one plans to hurt the people they love. Yet every single day it happens, not because people are evil, but because they never learned how to manage what they're feeling. Think about this. Imagine you're driving a powerful sports car down a winding mountain road. The engine is incredible. The speed is thrilling. But there's one problem. The brakes don't work. No matter how expensive the car is, no matter how talented the driver may be, without control, a crash becomes only a matter of time. Your emotions work the same way. Anger itself isn't the enemy. It's a natural human emotion. The real danger begins when anger becomes the one making your decisions, because emotions are meant to send messages, not make choices. Story of David. David was known as the toughest man in his neighborhood. He worked hard, protected his family, never backed down from anyone. People respected him, or at least they feared him, whenever someone disagreed with him. He raised his voice. Whenever life became difficult, he exploded. Whenever someone challenged his opinion, he saw it as disrespect. One evening, his teenage daughter came home later than expected. She had called earlier to explain there was heavy traffic after a school event. But David didn't listen. The moment she walked through the door, he started yelling. She tried to explain. He interrupted. She apologized. He kept shouting. Finally, she quietly walked into her room. She didn't slam the door. She didn't argue. She simply stopped talking. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. The conversations became shorter. The laughter disappeared. Years later, David admitted something heartbreaking. It wasn't the argument that broke our relationship. It was the fear. My daughter stopped telling me the truth because she was afraid of how I'd react. Think about that. Sometimes anger doesn't push people away overnight. Sometimes it teaches them to hide from you. Here's what many people never notice. Anger leaves scars you can't see. Broken trust, emotional distance, awkward silence at the dinner table. Children who become afraid to express themselves, friends who slowly stop calling, partners who no longer feel emotionally safe. These things don't happen all at once. They happen one angry reaction at a time. People rarely leave because of one bad day. They leave after hundreds of small moments that convince them, this isn't a safe place anymore. That's why emotional control is one of the greatest forms of leadership. Whether you're leading a family, a business, or simply your own life. People follow calm minds, not loud voices. Here's a question. Have you ever noticed how quickly anger disappears after something truly serious happens? Imagine arguing with someone you love. You're convinced you're right. The conversation gets louder. Both of you refuse to back down. Then suddenly, your phone rings. Someone tells you that a close friend has been rushed to the hospital. In an instant, the argument no longer matters. Your perspective changes. Why? Because anger often magnifies problems that aren't actually as important as they feel in the moment. It convinces you that winning the argument is more important than protecting the relationship. But years from now, you won't remember most of the arguments. You'll remember how you made people feel. So how do you stop anger before it controls your actions? Not by pretending you're never angry. Not by hiding your emotions, and not by bottling everything up until you explode. Real emotional control begins with awareness. The moment you notice your heartbeat speeding up. Pause. Not for an hour, not even for 10 minutes. Just pause. Take one slow breath, then another. Ask yourself one simple question. What am I really angry about? Is it this conversation, or is it the stress you've been carrying all day? Is it this mistake, or the pressure you've been ignoring for weeks? That one question can completely change your response. Because clarity weakens impulsive reactions, and when you understand the real source of your frustration, you stop attacking the wrong people. Some people believe walking away is weakness. It isn't. Sometimes the strongest move you can make is choosing not to continue a conversation while emotions are out of control. Think of firefighters. When a building is on fire, they don't rush in without a plan. They assess the situation first. Why? Because panic creates more victims. The same is true in life. If your emotions are burning, don't make permanent decisions during temporary emotional storms. Take a walk. Drink water. Breathe. Return when your mind is clear. A calm conversation almost always solves more than an angry one. One habit that changes everything. Before reacting, create one small habit. Ask yourself, will this matter 1 year from now? Most of the time, the answer is no. The dirty dishes, the traffic, the rude comment online, the delayed text message, the forgotten chore. These moments feel huge because emotions make them feel urgent. But urgency is not the same as importance. Learning that difference can save relationships, careers, and years of unnecessary regret. The story that changed everything. There was once a man named Ethan. He wasn't famous, he wasn't wealthy, he wasn't a motivational speaker, he was just an ordinary man trying to build a good life. But there was one problem. Everyone around him knew him for one thing: his temper. At work, people avoided difficult conversations with him because they knew even small disagreements could turn into arguments. At home, his wife loved him, but she had learned to measure every word before speaking. His son admired him, but was afraid to ask simple questions when he looked upset. One evening, Ethan came home after another stressful day. His laptop had crashed. A client had canceled an important deal. Bills were piling up. Everything felt like it was falling apart. As soon as he walked inside, he saw a broken picture frame on the floor. His young son stood nearby, frozen with fear. The boy had accidentally knocked it over while playing without asking what happened, without taking a single breath. Ethan exploded. He yelled louder than he ever had before. His son burst into tears. The room became painfully quiet. A few minutes later, Ethan walked past his son's bedroom. The door was slightly open. Inside, he saw something that stopped him cold. His son was sitting on the floor, hugging his knees. He whispered to himself, "I wish Dad liked me when he was angry." Those words hit harder than any punishment ever could. For the first time, Ethan realized something heartbreaking. His anger wasn't just hurting him, it was teaching the people he loved to fear him. That night he made a promise. Not that he would never get angry again, but that he would never allow anger to decide who he was. Because emotions may visit your mind, but they should never become the owner of your character. The choice we make. Every day, every morning, life gives us the same choice: react or respond. There is a difference. Reaction is instant. Response is intentional. Reaction is emotional. Response is thoughtful. Reaction often creates regret. Response creates respect. The people we admire most aren't those who never feel anger. They're the ones who refuse to let anger define their actions. Think about the greatest leaders, the strongest parents, the most respected teachers. They all faced pressure, they all experienced frustration, but they understood one truth: calm is contagious. When you stay calm in chaos, you become the emotional anchor everyone else depends on. 5 daily habits that build emotional strength. Mastering anger isn't about one dramatic moment. It's about small daily decisions. First, slow down before you speak. Not every thought deserves a voice. Sometimes silence protects relationships better than perfect words. Second, separate the person from the problem. A mistake doesn't make someone your enemy. Attack the issue, not the individual. Third, take care of your body. Lack of sleep, Constant stress, poor nutrition, and exhaustion can make it harder to manage emotions. A healthy mind is easier to guide than a depleted one. Fourth, learn to forgive, not because people always deserve it, but because carrying resentment keeps you emotionally trapped. Forgiveness doesn't erase what happened. It simply stops the past from controlling your future. Finally, remember this question every time anger rises. What kind of person do I want to be when this moment is over? That single question can change everything. The mirror test tonight, before you go to sleep. Stand in front of a mirror. Look into your own eyes. Ask yourself honestly, did I make someone's day lighter today or heavier? Because success isn't measured only by money or followers or promotions. It's also measured by the peace you bring into the lives of others. Anyone can lose control. Anyone can shout. Anyone can blame. But very few people have the strength to pause, take a breath, and choose wisdom over impulse. Those are the people who leave a lasting impact. The final lesson: here's the truth most people discover too late. Anger rarely destroys your enemies. It usually destroys your peace first. It steals your sleep. It clouds your judgment. It turns temporary problems into permanent consequences. And often, the people who suffer most are the ones who were trying to love you. So don't wait until regret becomes your teacher. Learn the lesson today. You don't prove your strength by overpowering someone else. You prove it by mastering yourself, because the strongest person in the room isn't the loudest, isn't the most intimidating, isn't the one who always wins the argument. The strongest person is the one who can feel the storm inside and still choose peace. Closing. Message: life will always test your patience. People will disappoint you. Plans will fail. Traffic will happen. Mistakes will be made. You cannot control every situation, but you can always control the person you become because of it. Remember this: your anger may explain your feelings, but it never excuses your actions. Every moment of self-control is an investment in your future. Every calm decision builds trust. Every thoughtful response strengthens your character. And every time you choose peace over anger, you become the person your future self will thank you for becoming. So the next time anger knocks at your door, don't invite it to take a seat. Acknowledge it. Learn from it. Then let it leave. Because your future deserves a calmer mind. Your family deserves a kinder heart, and you deserve the peace that comes from mastering yourself. If this message spoke to you, don't let it end here. Share it with someone who needs to hear it, and remember, the greatest victory you'll ever achieve isn't over another person, it's over the version of yourself that reacts without thinking. Stay calm, stay strong, and keep becoming the person you were meant to be.